All right, Gabe. So welcome. I should say welcome back to the podcast because out of all the podcasts I've done, we had talked over the summer, I think it was, right? And the whole thing, Zoom had some problem. It wouldn't download. You tried to convert the files for me and it never worked. And then you've been so busy, we never caught up again, right?
Yeah, I'm a little skeptical that this is going to go through, but
I'm in a different place. I'm not in my attic this time. So
gotcha.
we'll see what happens. But, I want to thank you because over the years, over the months, you've become one of my sponsors. I don't know how much business has gone your way, but I hope it has. And it's been good for me because it allows me to, to show that there's people behind us. And I appreciate that. I appreciate that very much.
My pleasure. Happy to be with you. I'm always
I-
telling people about my friend Mitch and to check him out. Law to 21,000. Very good.
Yeah. So I got because another friend of mine who's a lawyer, he texted me today and he said, or he emailed me, he says, what's your keyword with Gabe? I said, law. He's like, oh, he said, you got to think of another one. So why don't we go back a little bit and talk about, where you're from, your background, and then eventually we'll get into how you started the digital business card, what it is, why is it such a great networking tool, all those types of things. Does that make sense?
Sure.
All right. All right. Take me back to the good old days.
This is it's your show, so.
All right. So tell me where you're from originally. You're from Atlanta your whole life?
Oh no, I was born in Arnprior, Ontario, near Ottawa.
You're Canadian.
Near Ottawa. So I actually am Canadian. I have dual. I actually have three citizenships because my grandmother was came from Ireland, and there's a way to. Some people in my family thought it was important to get Irish citizenship, so I kind of tagged along with that. So it's I think I'm just afraid of getting kicked out of a country and make sure I have some.
You have some other options.
Yeah.
So you don't have
Yeah.
dual citizenship. You have three. You're citizen of three countries.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
all right. Yeah, you're probably the only American they'll let into Canada at this point.
Yeah, but there's no there's no guarantees anyway. So
that's true.
So as I said, I'm just trying to keep my options open and make sure I have at least one place to go in case if all hell breaks loose. But
so did you grow up then up there?
I grew up in
there,
Canada.
everything.
Ottawa. Well, I was pretty young. We moved to Port Credit, Ontario, which is near Toronto, when I was in my I was like 2 to the third grade, and then from third grade we moved close to Montreal. My dad was president of Playtex in Canada, and then he was president of Tam O'Shanter, which is a clothing company. So that's when he moved to Montreal, and then he got sick of the Canadian winters. We lived right on a lake, which is really awesome because in the winter times I could skate down to my buddy's house, which is miles away. I mean,
right.
And you ice skate, and in the middle you see there'd be a hockey game going on, and other buddies that I'd know, so I'd sit and hang out with them for a while and keep going, and then and so of course when you're a kid you have all that energy and doesn't bother you.
You didn't care. You like the wind.
Doesn't bother you that it's 20 degrees below zero and you're out there skating on ice with the wind at you. So yeah, we lived in and when my dad couldn't take his Thunderbird up the icy driveway anymore, we moved to Florida.
Oh yeah, that's a big change.
Yep. So went to high school there when the Dolphins were undefeated. So I'm still a Dolphins fan. And
that was what 72, right?
Yeah. And then so I graduated high school and then went back up to Canada for college. And from there, my brother had actually I got a job in Maryland. Where my brother lived, and then he had me run his bar for a while, and then I finally got into computers. But I lived in Maryland for about 37 years before we moved here, only about 2015. So.
And did you in college? Did you study computers and
programming? Not the first time.
None of that stuff.
No, see, because in high school, when I went from Canada to the United States, I skipped a grade, which meant that I was much younger than everybody, and I was also the smallest. I was literally the smallest kid in the school. Right. So it wasn't, and plus it was an all boys Catholic school. So not the best experience that I'm not the highlight of my life, I will say. So when I got to college, it was like, oh man, and back to Canada, and then I skipped another grade, so I was 2 years younger than everybody. But in Canada, they're really cool. They're very much more accepting as a culture. Like they don't. There's Yeah,
No
there's bullying
clicks
and stuff,
or leaving
but
people
no, but
out.
there's one thing about them is they'll accept you with your faults, and that's one thing that I really appreciated because, here I'm 17 and these are all these people are 19 going on 20, just
Right.
getting started. So I just that was it. I got all the socialization that I missed in high school and the stuff that I was saving up for college. I put it all in those 3 years, and
Right.
graduated with a general arts degree. So it wasn't till when I was about 27 and working at my brother's bar, I took a kind of a walkabout around the country for 3 months,
Okay.
just to see the world, to see
Just
the
traveling
country.
around.
Yep, and it was people were very they were very blunt with me. They said, you have a lot of talent, but you're wasting it. What are you doing, man? Yeah, get some ambition. I
Right.
mean, they would just
What
say
what
right to
year
your
was
face.
this?
1983.
Oh, all right. Yeah. It
Yeah, I was
wasn't like it was the
27.
60s and
No,
everyone's jumping into a van, you know?
no, no,
No.
no,
Right.
no.
Okay.
It was funny, and I remember this guy in Juneau, Alaska, which is where one of the places I wanted to be. I ended up there. I just remember sitting in this bar with this guy, and it's exactly what he said to me. But they're very in Alaska. They don't fool around. They don't fool around with niceties because there's no timing. There's no time for that. Everything is very serious, because it's really in Juneau. You can only get there by boat or by plane, and if you
Ah,
can walk the downtown area in about 15 minutes easily, and people, and because there's a huge mountain right behind the city, and there's nothing to do there
was
except
there a
for
movie about Juno years ago?
no, that's Juno. that was
How do you spell
that
Juno?
was a character. It's EAU. Juneau is the capital of
Oh, EAU.
Alaska.
Oh,
Juneau was a character in
Juneau's the
that
capital
movie.
of Alaska? I thought it
Yeah,
was like Fairbanks or something.
no, it's Juneau.
Oh, okay.
So
Good. Yeah,
yeah, I'm
learn something
smart.
every day. Okay.
Yeah, and so
But I
but
hear
anyway,
I hear
so
Alaska's beautiful though.
oh, it's
Beautiful
phenomenal.
country.
But
Yeah.
I stayed there for 2 weeks in Juneau. And like the second week, I've done the hiking, I've done the this, I've done the that. I said, okay, what do I do? It's 11 o'clock. I might as well go to the bar. That was it. I mean, there's nothing else to do.
There's
So,
nothing
and
right.
so,
Well,
so each one of so everybody there um, they had actually partners, but the people that lived there had partners to watch each other to prevent them from killing themselves. They had
really.
suicide buddies. Yeah,
Ooh.
it was really intense. And so what I was, so when I say that they don't mince words, they don't, and I appreciate it because I would say New Orleans and Alaska were the two places that I met the friendliest, most genuine people in the country. And I didn't visit every state, but I visited quite a bunch of them. So I really appreciated that. And so when I got back from that trip, I said, okay, maybe I should see what's going on because I had quit my job at my brother's bar, and and I looked, and I was in D.C. in the paper that week, or the newspaper in those times had this huge computer section. So I said, maybe I'll try that. So that was the end of it. And my brother gave me my job back so I could work that my way through school and,
Right.
do it all over again. So that's how I
So
got
so
into
what did you
computers.
do? You took a programming class or was it
No,
hardware,
I actually went
software?
back to college. It was a technical college called Capital Tech, and I went through I got through like 3 years of it, and the actual curriculum of the school in my eyes was going downhill. And so I thought, I'm not going to do this just for the sake of doing it. I probably should have transferred to University of Maryland, but I didn't. But I got a job in computers, and then I just kept going from there.
And it was all
So
programming based, like you learned how to
yeah,
program and things like that.
yeah, yeah. It was so weird because it was so different from anything I'd ever done. I mean, I
Right.
hated math. I absolutely hated math. I would like calculus. Are you kidding me? I have to take that. I'm getting C's in it, and then but when you're motivated, I had
Yeah.
calculus one, calculus two, calculus
So
three,
it was a lot of math.
Laplace and Fourier analysis, discrete mathematics on top of all that.
Right. But you
I
were
mean, this
interested in it. So
yeah, and I was getting
yeah.
A's in all of it because I was just sucking it all in. It was phenomenal. It was great.
So
So
what in those days, what kind of languages were they programming in?
Pascal and C. They're Pascal and Fortran, but I was a Pascal person. I never learned Fortran, but then C, and then C plus plus, of course, and so now it's
Do they still use Pascal?
oh yeah, oh, it's funny. Some like COBOL is another big one from back then,
Yeah, I
and they're
remember.
still hiring COBOL programmers because they don't want to get rid of that humongous system, that this legacy system that still works. So there's still a market out there for those kind of people. I imagine the same for Pascal, but
Right. Yeah,
um,
because if not, you got to rebuild the entire system, right,
right,
with
right,
new language. You can't
right,
just snap it
yeah,
on. It
yeah.
doesn't work that way. All right. So that was in the mid 80s. And so you went to work for corporations at that point, or were you on your own?
Yeah,
Uh,
I worked for Booz Allen
okay.
in the night. Well, actually, '93 was a highlight when we had Booz Allen had commissioned me to do a booking system for the DEA. So it
Hmm.
was electronic fingerprints. It was the first time that people started marrying images with databases. Because
Got it.
actually, to do a JPEG file, took a box that was like this big. It was like this big blue box just to render the JPEG file,
Right.
and there was electronic fingerprint, and of course the imaging and all that, so they could do lineups and everything.
Right.
And it got so popular that and that was when Windows NT came out, and we were using NT. So Microsoft actually got involved and had us present our system in front of everybody at FOSSI, the Federal Office Systems Expo in '93. So I was introduced on stage by Bill Gates at that time.
Nice.
That was very, very intense.
Yeah. I think that was one of your, remember one of your meetings?
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
like,
That was
these
my
three
the
things are not
spot
true.
the
One of them
lie.
was
Spot
right. And
yes.
you said introduced by Bill Gates. People said, no, that's a lie. And you said, no, it's true. I remember that one.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's no, that was fun. I mean, it was really something that it was it was a big deal. Unfortunately, my company tripped over themselves to screw that up after we had done such a great job at getting that done. It was a 40-minute live demo, 40-minute live software
Of the
demo.
booking system.
Yes,
Okay.
and not one glitch, right? And this was on C-SPAN. It was on TV. It was everything. Not one glitch. And then they fired my boss the following Monday because Booz Allen in New York was working with IBM, and they didn't want anybody working with the competition. And it's all
So
it's
IBM basically forced him out.
no, it wasn't IBM. It was Booz Allen because somebody, one of the partners in New York said, "Hey, you're not. I don't want you guys working with Microsoft because we're working with IBM." So they just basically fired him. Plus, he was a bit of a maverick anyway. Booz Allen doesn't build products; they just charge people for consulting and doing stuff.
Got it. Got it.
So
Got it.
anyway,
Yeah.
that was
But
fun.
things have come a long way. So now we have all kinds of facial recognition, and you could take someone's picture with your phone and convert
Oh yeah.
files and
Oh, it's
everything.
amazing, and just like what the phone can do compared to what computers could do back then, and I mean, I'm sure the phone I have is 10 times more powerful than that PC that we were working on back in
For
'93, right?
sure. Which was more powerful than the punch card systems they had in the
Mm-hmm.
50s when they couldn't even get it in the room because the things
Yeah,
are so big.
yeah. Hmm.
But it was all fast. Yeah. Okay. So how long did you work for them? You stayed in corporate for a while?
Yeah, I worked for Booz Allen, and then I hired a guy. Well, actually, a guy that was working with me, I hired him as a consultant, and he was making more money than me, and I was his boss. So I said, okay,
So he's like an
something.
independent contractor. Is
Yeah,
that
yeah,
as a
yeah, yeah,
consultant? Yeah. They
yeah.
always make more money
And
from
so I
that.
said, well, that's for me. That's what
That
I
doesn't
want
make sense, right?
to.
Exactly.
So I did that for a while, and then
So
another
you
company.
became a consultant.
Yeah, and then
Okay.
so I did that for a while, and that was going great. And then a company that I had worked for before wanted me back for another project, and I said, okay, well, just pay me my rate. Oh no, 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 you have to be an employee, and we're only going to pay you $72,000. I said,
And
well,
as
that's not
compared
right.
to
I'm
what?
not.
You're making more than
Yeah, I
that.
was making like 135 at the time, and so I said that the math doesn't add up, and he said, well, we're going to sell the company in a year, so we'll give you a bonus of 135 at the end of the year. So in the end, in one year, you'll make 210,000.
Okay.
I said, okay, all right. So what's not to like about that?
Right.
So except for they didn't sell the company.
Okay. Right.
And 16 years later, I'm still with them, and I had all this stock and all that. It's a long
So
mess.
you're still with
So
him now, even
no,
while you're no,
I
not
was
anymore.
with them
So you ended
16
up
years.
staying with him for 16 years
I
after that?
did. I did. It was horrible because every time you turn around, it was like, you create something that works, and and it was actually being sold internationally by Computer Associates. So that's got to be worth something, right?
Right.
Um, but the owners just couldn't. They tripped over each other to screw things up, and in the end, they told me they couldn't pay me anymore.
Now, what did
So
they sell? What did they
it
manufacture?
was a software package that analyzed database structures, looked at the relational as how it applied to relational theory. I know that's fascinating stuff, but
Well, ironically, now data and big data and data analysis is what's driving everything,
mhm.
right? I mean,
Right, but what most people were interested in then was is called SQL tuning. Is
okay.
like, and I'm
I remember
sure
that
people
word.
are really
Yeah.
thrilled with
No,
with
well,
this
we'll get into all the good
yeah,
stuff soon.
yeah.
But yeah.
But in other words, I want the data to come out faster. But what we did was say,
Oh,
are you? It doesn't matter how fast it comes out if it's the wrong data,
well, obviously.
and that's what we were selling. And so, but again, that was hard to sell, because if you sell it to a DBA who is in charge of the data, it's going to show his boss how he screwed up. And if you show it to his
Uh,
boss, he's not going to understand it, and he's going to say, hey, does this make sense, to his DBA? And he's going to say, well, no, we don't really need that, because again, it's showing where he screwed up. So it was just kind of a challenge to sell it, but still, Computer Associates was selling it around the country. But but anyway, that's just another bad memory that we we
well, but it
come
led you to
unload.
where you are now. So you don't
Yeah,
want to change
yeah,
that. So
absolutely.
after 16 years, that was like early 90s, right? Mid almost
No,
90s.
no. We were. This was
No, no, by close to
by the by
2000,
by the
right?
time. Yeah, this is why we moved to Atlanta, because I was out of a job. And so,
Got
and
it.
plus I had been worked with my daughter's charity.
Where was
Um,
the job before? You were in DC, the DC
it was
area?
in Maryland, and yeah,
Okay.
and and so and while I was doing that job for 16 years, I was also busy building, actually helping my dog build one charity, and then my daughter build a second one. But we were working on that my daughter's charity that she had built when she was 9, and it was actually a pretty big deal. So and we had an event in Atlanta, so I said, well, as long as I'm going to be out of a job, I might as well go to where this event is going to be. So we picked up, we just put a for sale sign on the house, left, and we knew one person from Twitter in Atlanta, and that was the guy who was having our event at
Right.
the
It was
at
a
the
fundraiser for your daughter's
well,
charity?
yeah, it was actually an event where the charity was called Kids Are Heroes, and it empowered kids to, well, actually normalized philanthropy for kids, basically, by showcasing those who had them. So whenever we would have an event, we brought all these kids together, as many of them as could come, and
Right.
we had kids come from Abu Dhabi, we had kids come from Kenya
Wow. Your
and South
daughter started this
Africa.
charity? She's
Yeah,
9?
yeah.
Wow,
hmm
impressive.
so yeah, and she was on the Ricky Lake show. We got to meet Richard Branson a couple times because of it, and
Cool.
it was just a phenomenal thing. So if I had been able to continue to get funding for that, I'd still be doing that. But that's another thing, is that's not as easy. You move to Atlanta, everybody's got their own charity, and
Of
nobody
course, it's a
knows you, so
competitive
it's really kind
business.
of tough.
Yeah, no, it's just like anything else. It's another industry. It's competitive. They're all competing for dollars,
Yep.
right? Can't
Absolutely.
imagine how they're doing now. Nobody has any money and they're worried about their own stuff.
Right. Yeah.
All right, so take me through or up to how you started developing the idea for the business card.
Well, we're in Atlanta right now in 2015. I
Okay.
created Digital Accelerant then. I was again a
What had you
soft
been doing for those 15 years? The charity?
and that other job that eventually couldn't pay me. So it was kind of if it was they left me alone enough so that I could create those charities and build them both up from the ground up.
Got it.
So in the end, I can't really complain, um, because I mean I really didn't. Be honest with you, the work requirement at that point wasn't very much, because they didn't want to do improvements to the software. It was just kind of maintain it. So most of my time was actually spent on the charities when I got a salary, which is kind of weird. So I guess for that I'm grateful. But then when we moved here, I'm still a software developer. So I got a contract work as a software developer
Yeah.
when we moved here, and then so we moved here in 2015, and about 2018, 19, in that time frame, we moved from Canton, Georgia to Dallas, Georgia, which is an hour away. So I lost all my networking people, and my contract was about to run out. So I said, you know what? I got to expedite this. You know how long it takes to get people to know you and trust you in a
Right.
personal networking environment, whether it be BNI or anything. It takes them a while. Um, and so so from there, I said, well, I got to expedite this. Um, so what can I do? So I figured, well, let me see if I can give people something. I'll work on something for a couple hours, give them something of value, not ask for anything in return, and that way they'll get to know my work ethic, my skill, my this, my that,
Right.
and we'll get to bond together over what we're doing. It. I don't know what should that be. Who knows? Maybe a digital business card. I had one myself that I had made. It was a PDF file, and I said, well, maybe I can take this. And no, that was a piece of junk. So I scrapped it, and
Oh, but
I basically
originally it was for you to use. It was like,
it was a
you said,
PDF
listen, I don't want,
file.
I'm a computer guy, so I don't want a hard card. I want a technology card. So you made
Right,
your
right,
own. That was like
right,
the first iteration of it.
right. Hmm.
And why'd you say
But
it was junk? Like it didn't do anything?
well,
It
you
didn't
can't. Well,
work?
you have to have a PDF reader, and at the time, not the readers weren't as
Right. They were a
prolific,
little built in like they are
right,
now.
and it was you couldn't really share it that easily, and it just wasn't good. So I redesigned it as an HTML landing page, and started said say, hey, anybody who wants one, they're free, and they lined up. Boy, they loved it. So it worked a lot better than I thought it would. And so we basically the whole group got them, and then we put that group on a page so that we could on one page so we could refer each other out. And at this point it was just sending the URL, which you can still do with our cards. They're very easy to share
Yeah.
because they're just like you're sharing any
Yeah. It's a
URL.
website, basically, a
Right.
mobile
Yep. And
website.
so and then as anything that I do, I'm always working to improve it. So we added audio to it, and then we added video to it. Then when we added the texting, it was kind of a game changer. But at some point, I never really thought. I said, well, people aren't going to pay for these. I mean, they like them, but they're not going to buy them. And then so the mortgage guy, well, he had
But why though?
somebody in his
They
office.
can't design them.
Well, yeah, but so the mortgage guy wanted one because his buddy wanted one, and I didn't know him. I said, okay, well, maybe I'll charge him, and then the other mortgage person wanted one. Then I said, well, yeah, maybe they're buying them, but I really can't charge enough money because I was only charging like $100 for them at the time.
One time,
Yeah, it was just like that was it,
and that was it. There's no
and
subscription base, nothing.
right, nothing, right. So
But at
so
that point, there wasn't a service you needed to use, right? Once the guy had the
right.
URL, he could just email it to anybody.
Right, but still, I'm still maintaining the
The
thing. But
yeah,
anyway,
that's true, right?
but so so yeah, so that's how that worked. And then as things got progressed, and as we started using the texting, and I had all these self-imposed ceilings that I had over on my head, saying, well, you can't do this. That's not going to work. Maybe a side gig, maybe not. But as soon as I realized, oh, wait a minute, if I sold this to a real estate brokerage, like a company,
Yeah,
and they have like 500
yeah.
agents,
Use one for every one of
1,500
their
agents,
agents.
absolutely.
Financial
And
services companies. There's all
yeah,
kinds of
exactly. And so
right.
that's really when I said, well, maybe I should, because I can only work so many hours and can only charge so much for my time. So there's an immediate ceiling there, right? So if I do it with my card, or if I sell the cards, there's no ceiling. So I really switched over. I think it was about September of 2019 is when I started really kind of focusing on selling them.
Really, about 6 months before the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
Right.
And so September, October, great. November, December, not so good. People say, oh, talk to me after the holidays, right? January, February, awesome. March, not so good because the pandemic hits. And then I think, well, now I'm SOL again, right? I'm dead because
Right.
because I
Yeah.
did all my stuff networking. But
Yeah.
then
In person. That's what I
Yeah, but
did too. I
then
was like, what the hell am I going to do?
exactly.
Yeah.
So luckily I found these networking groups, and they had breakout rooms. I thought the
Yeah.
breakout rooms are a brilliant way to get people together. And I said, well, I can do that. So, and that's how I've found you. I forget how I found
Through
Jennifer's group,
Jen. I
but
think you came to one of Jen Gilman's
I
events.
did, but I'm not sure how I found that one. But that's how I found you
Yeah, I
guys.
don't know. I got an email. I'm Jen's in my community. I got an email from Jen, and then I met you and Ron Kaniak. I go to an attorney group now in Florida. He's down there. We picked up some
Right.
people there, and it's just kind of snowballed. I mean, people were hungry to find groups,
Mm-hmm.
so the platform was there for you to set up networking groups. It was a
Right.
brilliant idea, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's kind of that brings that's where we are now. But basically, we created our own networking group. This is 45th week coming up. So we're coming up to a year on that.
Right. Now, I would
Uh,
assume even once things start going back to normal, you're still going to do online because you connect with
oh,
people all over the
absolutely.
country now, right?
Yeah, yeah. There's no way I'm giving this up, and there's
Right.
no way a lot of people. I mean, it was funny. Our BNI group, um, they couldn't wait. They couldn't. Oh, I can't stand this Zoom crap. I got let's go in person. I got to go in person because that's the way the BNI way and all that.
Right. Of
And
course.
so they said, okay, we're going to do it. We're going to go to the restaurant in January, and you have to have like a hybrid. The BNI, the way BNI set it up,
This
you have to have the
January?
yeah,
Yeah.
this
This
January.
month.
We were supposed to go like in the first beginning of January here to the restaurant. But B and I said, but you have to have a hybrid meeting because half Zoom, half in person, because for the people that will refuse to put themselves at risk like that.
Right.
So they said, okay, no problem. But 85% had to agree to do it, and 85% of the group did.
To go
Um,
in person?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And so, and I was not one of the 85%, by the way,
I don't blame you.
but so anyway, so then it came to time to actually do it. And then all of a sudden people, you know what? I don't know if I really want to do that. And, so they all started backing out. And
Yeah.
so there's only like 4 people that wanted to do it.
So there
And then they
you go.
finally said, never mind. But the point is, I don't think that was all because of risk, of health risk. It was because of convenience. One guy
For
even said,
sure.
he's coming up. He said, I got to come down from the mountain every Thursday to drive to Kennesaw to get to
Right.
this meeting, and now I don't. Are you kidding me?
What's the
So,
point?
so yeah, the meetings, they're here forever, man.
By the way, the hybrid meetings also, we did this. I have a Friday group and we did a hybrid thing in the fall, like before things spiked again. So
Mm-hmm.
there were like 3 of us would go to the office. There's like 10, 15 people in the group. And the other people were on Zoom. So you can't just like walk around and talk. You have to be on your laptop anyway.
Right.
You have to interact with the people on Zoom. So finally I said to my friend Jenny, I said, Jenny, this is stupid. I'm coming to your office for us to put earbuds on. If you didn't put earbuds on, by the way, it would echo through the other
Right,
laptops and you'd hear
yeah,
yourself in stereo.
yeah.
And Charlie he was like, yeah, this is dumb. So we all went back on Zoom because you can't do a hybrid. My kids were
Right.
doing that in school and
Uh-huh.
they would have to go. The kids, this is what they got to do. You're sitting in class, right? You have a question for the teacher. Let's assume the teacher's even in the class.
Right.
You take your earbuds off, you answer the question, and then you have to put your earbuds back on so you can hear her telling everybody. So finally my kids said, this is stupid. I could just be home.
Right.
And they all went virtual.
Mm-hmm.
Very hard to do hybrid
Yep.
meetings.
Mm-hmm.
Just everybody should be on Zoom and they're in their little box. So, but
Yeah.
look, there have been silver linings to different businesses during the pandemic, and certainly yours is one of them because it kind of transformed the way you promote your business. You're now able to reach people. I mean, because I guess what would happen is you would work from chapter to chapter, you'd connect with people and present it in another area, get people to use it. Now they all can come to the same meeting.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, I would work in my BNI group in the morning, and then I'd go to a KBA luncheon in the afternoon, and then at night I'd go to another social there for real estate agents.
But it was
And
all local.
yeah, it was all local. Come
Right.
home, some local, yes, but some of them are like in Atlanta, which is like an hour away.
Right.
So
I know.
it ends at 8:30, 8:40. You
Right.
drive an hour back home.
Well, in Atlanta, an
Uh,
hour, you could drive like 3 miles and take you an hour.
well, yeah, but
Traffic's
not
ridiculous.
at this point. It's at 9 o'clock at night. So, but
Not so
so
bad.
you're fine. But at the same time, you get home like quarter to 10, and you're like ready to just hit the
Exhausted.
sack. And I mean,
I know.
and then you do all the next day. And so, I mean, I'm not complaining because that I enjoy that kind of stuff, but it was very tiring. But now I can do, I lose track of how many meetings I can
Yeah,
have in
you
a
could do
day.
6 meetings a day, and you just,
Yeah,
I mean, you
easily.
got to go to the bathroom. That's about all you got to
Right.
do besides that.
Yeah.
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 All right. So you are, just so everybody's listening, you're one of our sponsors, and your information, connection, how to reach you is in every one of our show notes. So any show that comes out Tuesday, Fridays, this is going to be a special Wednesday release because it's a highlight of our sponsors.
Hmm.
I do have one other sponsor, Fetch Internet, which is like an app that connects you to the internet.
Hmm.
He was on the podcast before you, but he wasn't a sponsor then, so we weren't talking about that. So you're
Right.
the first sponsor. But
Cool.
so just so people listening, we're not going to look for the links. You can find any show, and the links are
Right.
in the show notes. So let's talk about though the card itself, because I want to highlight, like what it does and the things it can do, because every card's a little different, right? Everybody's
Right.
got a little different things going on. So you want to give me some examples about what people do with these things?
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of cards out there now, especially now because everybody's getting on the bandwagon. But really, it was almost like a perfect storm because how it got designed was I'm also a networker, so I'm a lot of times a software developer. You try and translate the value of things to the software developer. A lot gets mixed, and
Right.
then the person who's designing it is a marketing person
He's not
who
the
doesn't
user.
actually do
Right.
what the thing is for. So and I have. So for me, I'm the painter, the janitor, and I take out the trash and all that. So I have the ability to understand what networkers want and then go implement it in a software in a piece of software. So that's really that's one of the things that's really cool about it. But in the beginning, for me, in anything that I've done, and that had to do with the same thing with the charity, we didn't meet Richard Branson by accident. That was because we did things out of the box in social media and got and same
And
thing
he wanted
with
to
the
see what you were doing.
right, and the
Yeah.
same thing with Ricky Lake. We didn't get on her show by accident. We did things marketing wise that made us stand out. And so, and that has been everything that I've ever done. If you're a small group or a small person in this big world and you're trying to stand out, you've got to do things that are out of the box.
Right. There's no
So
question
that's where
about
the
it.
design of the card came, where first of all, it's customized. Everyone is customized so that it's not going to look like the other digital cards.
Right. It's your
It,
brand.
right. Absolutely. Your brand.
Right.
All the buttons are hot links to your social media channels, et cetera, et cetera. There's video on right on. You can have video right on your card. You can have your appointments right on your card. As any link you want basically is available. But really, the texting was that's how we get our card out. So when people text, like for me, it's Gabe to 21,000. If you text the word Gabe to the number 21,000, my card lands on your phone in about 6 seconds.
Right.
And so how that just the ability to be able to do that um, is so much better than any other way on Zoom. I mean, it was funny. I was in a Zoom call today in a breakout room, and I finished, and then the guy that came up to me after me, he was supposed to say his, and he said, "Hold on a second, I'm blown away." He says, "Gabe, I have to ask you this question." He said,
Yeah.
"How many people text your keyword when you're in a breakout room?" And I was honest with him. I said, "Sometimes I get crickets because it just depends on the crowd.
Yeah.
Sometimes I get crickets, but
Me too.
sometimes I get almost everybody." And it turned out, including him, there was 3 out of 4 people texted my keyword in that particular thing. So, but again, it's something that nobody else had that.
Now I
And
wonder if I share my screen, will this show up on the video? I'm pulled up I have a link, I have a bookmark. I don't know if this is going to show up.
I think it does. I
You see
think
that?
I do believe that it will show up. Just
Okay, good. So we'll give it a try. So this is the business card that Gabe designed for me.
mhm.
Ironically enough, my cover art on the podcast has changed. So maybe at some point we'll update it. But
Right.
this takes me to all my social media. Now, I do know that what's the keyword? Like if people want to see all the cards to
It's
see what
cards.
people are doing?
cards to 21,000,
Oh, okay, good.
CARDS.
CARDS to
Mm-hmm.
21,000, and they will get back like on their phone. You just scroll through them all. Is that
Yeah,
what it is?
you can scroll through. They're basically large thumbnails, but it shows you what they look like. And if you're interested in any one of them, you can click through to them and get the actual digital card. So yeah.
Right. And I know people have where you can put your email in, they have videos, they have all kinds of stuff depending on how they want to design it, right?
Right. And so really, but it's much more than just an elaborate digital business card because it actually gets you business. And I tell people, you know, that the success of the card is commensurate on how well you promote it. So
Right.
I have a client named Jaden who got his card on the 6th of December, just this past year, 2020. And in his first month, he had 139 people text him. He got a 500% return on his investment. And basically, and I just interviewed him yesterday. I'm doing like I'm learning from guys like you. I'm doing, it's not a podcast, but it's an interview series where I
Yeah.
do like 15 minutes. And he went through how he actually did all that. And he said he was getting maybe four calls a month, discovery calls a month.
What does he
And his,
do?
he's a CPA. So if you text CPA to
Wow.
21,000, you get,
Oh, he got
you
it. He
get,
got the CPA keyword.
yeah, you did. Yeah, he
Okay.
did.
Well, I got
And so,
law, so you know.
yeah. Mm-hmm. So yeah, so he said that, what he did was he got it out there, and he was getting 4 discovery calls a month. And in that first month, he got 16, and he closed well over $10,000. He said well over 500% return on his investment in his first month. And as of yesterday, he had 173 people text him. So it's not like he slowed down. I mean, he's killing it. He's
Well,
just
how
bringing
is
in.
he? Because I'm always learning from you. So, how is he using it? Because you know my issue. I email people like I have a mailing list. So what happens is people text me, and then I respond back to them. I offer them, I don't know, I
Right.
forget, something free to send me their email. And sometimes they bet half and half. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. I even offer them, if they sign up and mention me, I give them a free T-shirt from the podcast. I haven't gotten too many of those, but
Hmm.
how is he using it when they
So that
text him?
was one of the questions everybody wants to know. Well, how do you get 500%? Because
Right.
not honestly, not every card owner is doing that. Hopefully, they're getting at least 100% or whatever. But so what he's doing, and it was actually kind of interesting, and it's going to be published as soon as I produce that video. It's going to be out there. But what he said was he basically doesn't just tell people to text the keyword. He gives something of value, whether that be on. He does a lot on LinkedIn and actually he's using Clubhouse. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that.
I am familiar with it. I'm not an Apple user, but I know for
Right. So
now
he's
at least it's only
apparently he
available on the
goes,
Apple
well, the
platform.
way Clubhouse works, it's a brand new social media system where it's just all voice, where you go into rooms and you chat with people
Right, it's all
using
audio.
your voice. It's
Okay.
all audio, and there's no recording of it and all that. But you can go in a room of 2 people or 200 people, whatever it is.
So how do
But
you
what
know who
he
you're talking to if all these people are talking in the dark?
well, I don't know exactly how it works, but he
Okay.
says he goes in one of those rooms and he starts offering advice or about little tidbits of value for as a CPA,
Right,
and
like
then they
tax
start
advice because he's a
then they
CPA.
yeah, and then they
Okay.
start to follow him, and he tells them, if you want to get on my calendar, text CPA to 21,000, and they do it. So he's getting, he's a perfect client because he's working the card the way it's supposed to
So
be
his
worked.
card has a link to his calendar?
Yeah.
Okay.
As do many of them. Almost all of them do now. We didn't do that for you.
I don't think I was using an online calendar when we set this up.
Well, there we go.
That
So
was
no,
something I discovered later on when I was wasting so much time trying to schedule one-on-one chats, and somebody sent me this link to Calendly, and I was
yeah,
like, "Oh, that's a great idea." I
yeah.
set
But
that
if
up.
you have it on your digital card, what's really cool for me is somebody, and the one thing that's strong about the card is when you give out your keyword, they text it and you get back with them. You get their cell phone number, you text them back. But the second part of it is when you get people to remember your keyword. So when you're in any of your networking groups, you should always start with text law to 21,000 to get my information, because there's
Right.
going to be a time when that person, somebody says, do you know a business lawyer? And they'll just be able to jump up, yes, just text law to 21,000.
Right. Now I do, you know what I do? I do like you do it. I don't have it set up for the podcast, but I do it this way.
Mm-hmm.
So I mention it and I have the keyword there. So people see it, like you
Mm-hmm.
have
Yep.
Gabe to 21,000 behind you.
Well,
Yeah. And
people
I tell
know.
people to do that. Yeah. And I
Right.
do get responses out of nowhere. I don't,
Right. And
yeah.
that's really the benefit where people, I get these all the time, and sometimes I get them. Somebody else tells them to text Gabe, and then they see my calendar and they jump right on my calendar. So that person is in my sales funnel, and I didn't do squat to get them in there,
Yeah.
basically.
Well, you
And
know, what we'll do maybe in a month or so. I got to get some cash together for you. We'll update the card because my graphics have changed anyway for the podcast, and we can add a link to my calendar because that would get them in my. So if
yeah,
they get on my calendar, then they're in my marketing system too because their
yeah,
email goes from there
absolutely, yep.
to my MailChimp. So that would solve that
Mm-hmm.
problem. But yeah, I mean, look, I don't know anybody who said, "Well, this was stupid." You know, I mean, and by the way, out of fairness, there's competition out there. I mean, there's
Yes.
other companies that are doing it, but they don't seem to be doing it, the right way, the way you're doing it. First of all, and I would say this, I don't want to put your words in your mouth, but this is my, evaluation of it. If you find a digital business card out there for like $20 or $25, it's got to be junk because that this takes, time and effort to set up and maintain and so forth.
Well, I'm not saying. Well, I don't put it quite that way. I do say that if price is most important to you, then we probably are not the right company to go with. But those cards are just electronic business cards. That's what they're designed to do. That's all they do. With
Right.
us, we do not only do we give you the card, we give you the lanyard that you can wear at events. I mean,
Yep.
and we're we support it. We offer networking events. There's so many ancillary things that we offer in conjunction to support the card to get you more business. That's why it's a little bit and it's not even pricey. Most
No.
people, I've been told that I'm crazy to be selling it at this price, that I should at least double it.
Yeah.
And
Right now, as of now, it's 500 to set it up, right?
$4.99, right?
499, and that's to do the whole layout and everything you want.
Yeah.
And then it's what do you charge me? $13.95 a month?
$13.95 a month. But and the other thing, though,
Nothing.
the other thing that's out there that we have available is the analytics part. And I'm not sure if you're signed up for that or not.
I don't
but
think so. So you can measure the analytics of what's coming through the pipeline, so to speak, the people that are
Yep.
going there and
But
texting.
I'm addicted to it because really what happens when when I'm in a Zoom meeting and I know that people texted my keyword, I want to find out who it is. So it gives you the name. So you can query it and say, okay, who texted my card in the last, say, 7 days or 30 days, whatever you want. You can take that information, stick it in in a CSV file to put it right into your CRM. You can put it to a PDF file or even an Excel spreadsheet. But
Oh,
at the
I
same
definitely
time,
don't have that service because that was one of
mhm,
my issues, finding out who was behind the number that I'm getting.
right. And well, again, and so that is I use that all the time because I will be in the meeting and I will be able to identify which ones did it because
Right.
I know, and
Sure.
so and that gives me a better way of like if a person already has set up a meeting with you, it's kind of awkward if you're texting him again, just, hey, you got my card, you want it? Oh no, we don't, you remember we already set up a meeting. So it avoids that kind of stuff.
Right.
And yeah, so it's very, so I know the other digital cards don't do all that. So what, again, this is written by a guy who networks, who has the power to put whatever feature he wants in his own networking thing and then do that. So I think that's really where the magic happens because and also when I get my clients, they'll say, well, what if it had this and I didn't think of it? I said, oh man, like one of my clients came to me and said, can I do a video background, because I'm a travel agent and I want it to do just video. And I
Like a
said,
moving background.
yeah, absolutely. And I said, no, but that's a hell of an idea. And so I did it. And since it was her idea, I didn't charge her any upcharge for it. There is an upcharge for that. But now we have two, actually both travel agents that it's just all
I think you
video.
showed it to me. It's like on a beach, right, with waves
Yeah,
and stuff like
right.
that.
And it actually has
Yeah.
the sound to it that you can turn it on And and if you watch it, your just shoulders just kind of relax and everything. You just kind of, oh man, I wish I was there. But she tells me that her clients go to sleep with that thing on. I mean, which is, I mean, you can't ask for anything
That's a good
stronger than
endorsement,
that.
right?
And
Exactly.
then I have a new client now who's I just showed him the video part, and he says, yeah, that's what they're gonna. It's a company. Their company's gonna go with a video background. So, and nobody else is doing that. So again, it's all about just trying to, I'm always trying to improve it, always trying to, because because software is living, breathing. It's an entity. It just doesn't, if you stop developing it, it'll die. So it's always fun to add more stuff that to keep it going.
And people can go to your website and Digital Accelerant, and they can get on your mailing list. Because I know there are people that come to the networking events that don't necessarily have the card yet, but somehow
Mhm.
they're on your mailing list, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, if you text my keyword,
Gabe.
Gabe to 21,000, you can, or if you can, my website's right on there, and then
Well, if
from
they
there,
text Gabe to 21,000, does that add them to your ad? No, they don't get added
I
to the
don't
mailing list.
necessarily get my email list unless they download. There's a white paper that I offer if they give me their email list, and those
Got it.
folks will go in my drip campaign. So, but yeah, but anybody who registers for my networking event, they're going to go in there too. So yeah,
Right. And
it's
you have
just
several events a week, don't you?
usually just one, but sometimes it's two.
Right.
It's
But they
either
move
going to
around the
be
calendar. They're not the same day every week at
it's
different
either, well,
times.
actually now I'm trying something different
Okay.
just to see if because people have opinions about everything. They're always telling me something
Well, of
different.
course. Yeah.
But so for at least through the month of February, they're going to be Thursdays at 1, starting next Thursday. So
Yeah.
maybe if people get on a regular schedule, it might, because I see a really, people who loved it and then they're not there the next week because it's on a different day.
Right. Well,
So
I think it cuts both ways. My schedule is obviously all over the place too. So sometimes I might not be able to make Thursday at 1 o'clock that week, but next week
right,
it's Tuesday at 2. And I'm like, oh, I'm
right,
available then. So I
right,
think,
right.
but it does take some effort to follow you and
Yeah, I
to
think
make sure
that's
you
the
keep
problem.
track of the stuff.
It's the effort that it takes, and how people are lazy. They don't like
Well,
to
they're
do stuff.
creatures of habit. They want everything just so,
Right.
but look,
Right.
I register for your events. I put on my calendar and it's
Hmm.
blocked off and
Yep.
it's good. They got to make some effort.
Right.
Right? Absolutely.
Hmm.
Well, I appreciate your support of the podcast, and I also am glad that we met. Definitely, all the people that I've connected with through COVID has been valuable. Now I'm connected with you and all of your group down in Atlanta, and from that branched off to all kinds of things. So I encourage people highly if they want to grow their business and they want to market. Not only should they text Gabe and text cards to 21,000 so they can see what's going on, but come to an event and meet the people and see what they're doing, and then gets hooked up. Now I also, every once in a while, you run specials and sales depending on the holidays and stuff, so people should also watch for that, right? I mean, they go to
Well, yeah, but the more
the
I'm going to do
busier
less.
you get.
I'm going to do less and less of that just because
Sure.
just about discounting my work.
Yeah, you don't have
It's
to, right?
already really cheap,
Of
and
course.
so there's no real need to. But yeah, I only did that when I needed the money. To
Right.
be honest with
Right.
you.
Well, look, yeah, that's the supply and demand thing, right?
Right. Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you coming on and being the first spotlight on sponsors or something like
Hey,
that. We'll have to call it something like that.
hey, I
We'll
always like being the first, right?
Yeah, and we'll get this out in a week or two. I got to get it edited and then up. So the links will be in the show notes. Everybody knows how to get a hold of you, and I appreciate it. Thanks very much.
Well, and conversely as well. I mean, I'm always trying to send folks to, like I'll always say, do you know Mitch Beinhacker? And most people say, yeah, I know Mitch.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
that's good to hear.
yeah. It's good.
I get around.
As a matter of fact, I was showing somebody this morning, the cards to 21,000, and I was scrolling by your card, and she says, Mitch, she
Oh yeah.
yelled out.
I
I
know a
was
lot of people, but unlike you could do business with people anywhere in the country. I'm a little landlocked because of the legal restrictions and
right,
stuff. So it's a little
right.
bit more difficult. Now, can you do business? I know we've talked about this, but I don't know if this changed in other countries. Like, can you do Canada? Can you do London? Can you do
Well, the URL works, but
right?
the texting doesn't. And from what I understand, there's the texting rules of certain countries make it more difficult. So right now, I mean the market in the United States is so for lack of a better term, virgin for me. I mean, there's just so
Right. There's
I
plenty of
haven't
business here.
I haven't penetrated anything as
Right.
far as a market share. So so now and so that's what I'm focusing on. Plus, like even if I went to Canada, they've got what, 1/3 the population, if that, or whatever it is,
Right.
up there.
I'm
And
just
so
curious because we have met people from Canada and London that's through
right,
our,
no, we do, and they're always
they
saying,
ask
"Oh,
about it.
when is it going to be ready here?" Like,
Right.
you give me the cash now, and maybe I'll
Right.
work
Pay
on
for
it.
the,
But
now, wasn't there a way to do it through WhatsApp or something?
that was part of the thing that I was looking at the time. But again, it's
You could also
squirrel
only
happen.
focus on so much stuff. I mean, you're
Exactly.
split thin.
Exactly. Right now, what I'm focusing on is companies because when you take it to a company, you only have to create that one card that's custom, and you
Right.
can roll out that design to many different salespeople or brokers or
Right.
loan officers or whatever. And so I'm focusing on that. And that is and I've gotten a couple. One I sold, and another one hopefully next week. And so once we get going on that, the idea is to start hiring people and grow the business in a
Yeah.
steady way, but not crazy, but steady. And then we'll eventually address things like that, like working in Canada.
Of
But right
course.
now, it's not
Right.
that
Not worth it.
important.
Yeah. So now for anybody out there who's got a business with salespeople or a sales force or things like that, people that market for them, I mean, it's not only less expensive per person, right? After you set up the main card, but it's probably less expensive than actually printing cards
Well, yeah, I
for
mean,
the people, you know?
the ROI is amazing because again, it's very cost effective when you only have to pay a certain amount per, the setup fee for the one card is $4.99. For the salespeople, it's only $149. That's almost throwaway money. And
Right.
guess what? They get their own leads, and so they get to manage their own leads. And actually, the manager or whomever can look at everybody's leads, see who's doing what, see, well, this person's not doing it, not cutting it. And I
Right.
mean, and imagine it if everybody gets whatever the high ticket item is, one or two more of those per month because of the card. And now you extrapolate that across your whole sales force, and you're only paying like 149 and 149. I mean, again, it's just crazy. It's
Even with the monthly cost, if you add up and go through cards
yeah.
on a yearly basis, it's going to cost you a lot more than that, even if the company's paying the
Mm-hmm.
fee.
Yeah.
So it's,
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
and it's an interactive thing. It's not some static card that people throw in a drawer,
It makes the salespeople memorable. It elevates the company's digital profile.
Right.
There's so many positive things that it does for them. I mean, you go in any Zoom call, and I'll challenge anybody to go in any Zoom call, and ask somebody who's got 21,000 or just ask somebody who doesn't even have a card. Hey, what's this keywords to 21,000? They'll 3 out of 4 will say text Gabe to 21,000 to find out.
Right. Because
They
they
know me,
know.
even if they don't have a
Yep.
card.
Yep. They do know
Yep.
you. So
So
people listening to the episode, you're in the opening, you're in the commercial in the middle, and you're in the show notes. So there's no excuse for people not to contact you. And I tell people all the time, if you don't have a digital business card, what the hell are you, what the hell's holding you back?
what
You
are
don't
you
want any
doing?
more
What are
business?
you doing?
Too much work? I mean, look, I would, the last person I would think would be killing it with this thing would be a CPA, a professional like me. I would think it would be somebody who has, some sort of product or whatever, but you tell me this guy's killing it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's the person who's using it, not what they do for a living. I think that really matters.
Right. Exactly. As I said, the success of the card is commensurate on how well you promote it. I had a business coach of all people use it and said, I didn't get the ROI. I was really disappointed. And I invited him to meeting after meeting after meeting, which he got on for the first 5 minutes and got off. And so
Well, because he's not
oh,
using
okay.
it. He's not promoting it.
No, no,
It's not your fault.
no. I mean, it's not even it's not the card's fault that you
No, of
don't
course
promote
not.
it. No, I tell people you got to promote it. Oh, and I showed him how to promote it, and he's a business coach. So that's what's
That's not
really
a
kind of,
testimonial to him.
no,
No.
no.
Well, look, with our local chamber of commerce, we have the same thing where people go, "Oh, I don't get any business from the chamber of commerce." I go, "I've never even seen you at a meeting. What do you mean? You can't. You got to put time in.
Right,
You got to use
right,
the thing.
right.
If I don't tell people that I have text law to 21,000 over my head there,
Mm-hmm.
how are they going to use it?
Exactly.
So you got to put it everywhere."
Yep.
So, Gabe, I appreciate it very much, and text Gabe to 21,000. That's all I
Hey,
can
man,
tell people.
I appreciate you. It has been great to. That's one of the things that's I'm having the most fun in my life right now because I get to meet all these people. I have a relationship with every single one of my card owners, but and some I like more than others. You're one of the ones that I like more than others.
Well, certainly, Gabe, you paid your dues like some people have in work and corporate America and whatever, and you deserve to be happy with, doing what you like to do.
Yeah, thanks.
So I appreciate it. Thanks, Gabe.
Yep. All right, cool.